Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fourth episode of A Girl Like Me Live. I'm so excited to be here. So, this is our U equals U episode, which we are going live with Katie Willingham, who is one of the Well Project's Community Advisory Board members. She's having a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're going to make this, flow as much as possible. And I'm going to go ahead and, go over our intro once again. So, this is our A Girl Like Me Live, which is a new interactive live streaming series advancing health and wellness discussions and education among women living with and vulnerable to HIV. Every 2 weeks, I, CC, will sit down with different co-hosts to chat about key topics in our community. In today's episode, I will talk with Katie Willingham about U equals U. I'm so excited. Katie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So I have on a speakerphone, and I'm not sure how well that is going to work for our audience, but I'm so excited for you to be here in some capacity, Katie. Can you start off by introducing yourself, any affiliations you may have, and how you ended up here at the Well Project?
Yeah, Katie Willingham. I live in North Alabama, and I blog with Well Project's A Girl Like Me forum, and a member of the community. The community co-chair with the Alabama Department of Public Health's HIV Prevention and Care Planning Committee, and I'm a U equals U ambassador, Prevention Access Campaign, or at least I say I am.
Oh, dang, you do so much. That's like an honor for you to be here. OMG. So I heard you mention, are you an ambassador for U equals U?
Well, I've been talking about U equals U since 2016.
Wow, is it that old? 2016?
Coming up, 5 years. They're having a fifth-year birthday this month.
Oh, wow. So that's interesting because I feel like I haven't started hearing about U equals U at least for the last few years, maybe the last 3. So the fact that it's 5 years old, and I don't know, it's changing so many lives. I'm sorry.
I believe they launched in July, and I first heard Bruce talk about it in September of that year. So just a few months after they launched the campaign, and I've been talking about it ever since.
Where did you hear about it from? If just in 2 months?
I heard it at the Positive Living Conference. I was invited by my local ASO, Thrive Alabama, to attend the Positive Living Conference, and I heard Bruce talk about U equals U for the first time, and it just blew my mind. It was like the biggest news I had ever heard, and it was I couldn't believe that it was news that was already well known, because I was just hearing about this. This is information that could have changed the past 10 years of my life, because I had my first over 10 years of my diagnosis, I lived in absolute fear. I felt like a bottle of poison. I was afraid to play with my kids. I was afraid to be intimate with 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 my spouse, and and U equals, the knowledge of U equals U could have changed years of living in fear for me. And so yeah, it was something that changed my life, and I was a little angry to find out.
So maybe we should back up a little bit. I don't want to just assume that everyone knows what U equals U is. I made that mistake one time. It wasn't that long ago on a call with about 5 different providers. And I was sitting around talking with 2 other advocates and, just flowing through the conversation. It was, so you all, about U equals U. And that's kind of the point in the conversation where you think you're just going to be able to continue talking because everyone has heard of it. But these
Right.
providers hadn't heard of U equals U. So that was alarming to me because these were like OBGYNs and lactation consultants and RNs and, just people that worked with the public often in women's sexual reproductive health. So
Right.
the fact that they had never heard of U equals U leads me to believe that there are a lot of people who have not heard about it. So you have so much experience and you've been talking about it so long. I would love for you to, define it for our audience.
U equals U stands for undetectable equals untransmittable, and it means that when you take your medications as prescribed and you reach an undetectable status. Undetectable means there's not enough of the virus to be detected in blood tests. Then you cannot transmit the virus sexually to anyone. You can even have children safely without passing the virus to your partner or your baby. And so being, if you're undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus, and that is life-changing information for people living with HIV in so many ways.
Oh, yes, completely. I have been positive since 2008. The years get mixed up in my head sometimes. But since 2008, and at that time, I remember speaking with my providers, and they were still saying, there was a 2% chance that I would transmit the virus to someone else had I had sex with them. I'm protected. And so that was always a hard conversation to have with any potential partner because it'd be like, okay, I'm taking my meds, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, but there's still a 2% chance that I could, give you this virus. And for someone that is negative, I know that that can be, frightening. And for the person that's living with it, that can be even further stigmatizing because I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I know that I haven't transmitted this virus. And even then, it was after I had given birth to my first child, who's 10 now. And I gave birth to him vaginally. And I did, I followed all the orders and everything that I was supposed to at the beginning. During my early diagnosis. And for me to still have to say that there was a 2% chance, like it was heart wrenching. So when I heard of something called U equals U, I was like, yo, this is amazing. I can really tell people that I can't transmit this virus to them. Like I'm no threat to you at all. That it just made me so much more confident. And the fact that I had some science backing me up, because I sure didn't hear about it from my doctor. Even when I brought this information to her, she was really reluctant to, say that it was no transmission. They still wanted to leave like that little bit of chance that I
Right.
would transmit this virus to somebody else. So U equals U has been amazing. And I know that I saw Bruce and D and some other folks at, I believe it was a USCA conference or one of those conferences, and just to, see them rally and to be in a room full of other people that may have or may not have been positive, just so excited about a movement, a campaign such as this. It made me even more excited and wanted to come back into my community and let them know that this is for real. I'm not just making stuff up. Like, this is a real thing.
Right. Um, it's hard sometimes to get people to believe you. Like what are your credentials?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I talk to people, um, but
I'm not sure if you're breaking up again, but I'm going to go ahead and read to you a comment from Maria, who is an ambassador for U equals U. She said, U equals U has set us free. It was a very hard battle, but we made it. Proud ambassador and national and international committee member. Thank you, ladies, for doing this wonderful live. Knowledge is power. Definitely. Like, to hear the word free. Yes, definitely free. Like, I don't have to live up underneath of that guys that, I could possibly transmit this. To be able to say zero is amazing. I didn't know that. Maria also writes that they attacked Bruce horribly. Do you have any experience or any knowledge of, people being attacked for, shouting U equals U?
no, I haven't experienced that. Um, I guess what I deal with more is distrust. Yeah, because so many people, it's the memory of the '80s has been so hard to shake, you know, and even though I tell a lot of people about U equals U, a lot of people still don't believe you, you know, or they don't want to, or they don't want to risk it, and it's like you give them the facts, and you tell them it well proven by full multi-cohort research studies and documented thousands of sex acts, and there's been no transmission, but I don't know. It's like we live in a time right now of anti-fact. It's like what it's like people just don't believe facts anymore. It's like they're almost resistant to anything you claim as a fact.
Do you think that it's just because it is HIV, or is that like the culture overall? Or are we just anti-fact? What if it were something like related to like diabetes or something? Would we be more easy to believe that?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, these other illnesses that we don't see as posing a threat to us, we don't fear, and we don't attach false information to and stuff. But HIV has always been one that we do. We fear. We still remember. We still remember the '80s, and that's been, it's like a lot of people you can't get through to. Now some there's still good bit that you can, and you know you tell them about U equals U, and they're excited to find out about it. But there's so many that are just seem resistant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just love the Well Project because of how engaged the community advisory board members and the community is. So I posed the question to our community advisory board, like, was there anything specifically that they wanted to talk about within this chat? Because I think U equals U is so big and it can be broken down into so many different areas. And one question we got was, does U equal U, does it inspire people to be more med adherent? And I know I can answer that personally, but I would love to hear your response first. Does it make you more med adherent?
I think so. But I was pretty religious about my meds before I found out about U equals U, because I was like, this is going to keep me alive, okay. And I would get pretty upset about missing doses. So I was always pretty adherent. But there are a lot of people under a lot of different situations who learning about U equals U does help with. It gives I don't want to say in more incentive, but I'm not.
Well, I'm going to tell you for me that, like, some days taking medication is, I mean, the act itself can be easy, but the triggers can be kind of difficult for me. So I know for a while that I don't know, just taking that pill reminded me of my positive diagnosis, because otherwise I wouldn't have to take any medicine. Um, so, some days I would not be as adherent as I probably should have been with taking my meds. But being that I had like this thing to look forward to, like, if I keep taking this medication and I do what I'm supposed to do, then I'm probably going to reach this undetectable status, which I've been most of my diagnosis. That definitely puts this fire up underneath of me to continue taking it and take it as I'm supposed to. Being pregnant now, like, even when I want to skip taking, skip doses, I'm like, no, because you need to do what you need to do so that you can bring another healthy baby into this world who's not living with HIV. So I would definitely say that knowing that I am not only for myself is undetectable good, or is it the best thing for me, but I'm also affecting somebody else's life, like, that has been phenomenal, and I'll continue to keep doing what I'm supposed to do because I know it's not just benefiting me. We had a comment that was here, it's not here right now, but the lady said that she found out, like, she was able to reach undetectable, and now she's married, and then she was able to have a baby afterwards. Like, those are the success stories that I absolutely love hearing. That is
awesome.
Yes, that's the greatest, because so many people, you talked about the stigma of the 80s. I was born in the 80s, so I don't know too much about the 80s or the 90s. Sorry, Katie. But I did get diagnosed, in the 2000s. So the stigma definitely is something that exists, and it's real, and it exists on so many different levels. Even down to the fact of people thinking that you can't have sex, or you can't, how do you get pregnant, even though you're living with HIV? I've been posed that question before. And it's always really strange to me that the question is, how did you get pregnant? Like, well, how do most people get pregnant? Like, did you think that I just wasn't supposed to have sex because I'm living with this diagnosis? Kind of blows my mind sometimes.
Right, right, yeah, and that's been a major issue for years before U equals U was that a lot of people did feel like, if you were diagnosed with HIV, that was that was the end of your life. That was, you weren't supposed to date after that, or see romantic relationships. You know, like
I've gotten questions before because on the internet, people just feel like they can say anything sometimes. So, kind of expect the outlandish comments and remarks. So, they'll be like, so why don't all of y'all just stay with each other? Like, why do you have to come out and, mess with people that aren't living with HIV? And to be completely honest, I've never been sexually involved with anyone that was living with HIV that I know about, because I can't say that I've asked for, STD results with every partner I've had. Um, but no, like, if you equals you, I feel so okay, and I'm informing my partners and I'm letting them know what the deal is. There's no risk to that person. So why would I just have to, stay in sexual or romantic relationships with people that are living with HIV? It's not right. And that in itself is so stigmatizing. No. And people like push those things onto you. And I refuse to live up underneath of, society's rules or what seems right to them. I'm not doing it.
right.
I saw a comment. Let's see. Joe says U equals U broke all the stigma, at least 80% of it, to those who had heard of it. Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are, but I would agree that it has broken a lot of the stigma. Um, we
Yes.
have another person who says, I still haven't been able to start dating because of the stigma. I'm tired of telling men and they say they're not interested because of the HIV. I come to accept that I'll be single forever, but I'm happy and love me. What would you have to say to that person, Katie?
Oh, I'd say don't give up. No, it. I get what she's saying, because um, when I've been uh, trying to be in the dating, uh, it is hard to talk to people and get people to believe you, but there are those that will, that are reasonable, that you can talk to. Um, so I'd say never give up. But I do understand what she's saying. It is hard to talk to people a lot of times.
I would also, mimic that same thing. Don't give up. There will be a lot of people who will not understand it, won't get it. And I think that you've done like the most essential thing, and you begin with that self love and that self acceptance, which I think a lot of us don't ever get to a point of. So that's excellent. But don't give up. I always make like I don't know, the parallel of going out here and applying for jobs. I know I get very discouraged. I've turned in 100 applications, and each time you get that email back that's like, sorry, we've gone with another applicant. Your application was good, but we went with somebody else. We'll keep you on file. Da 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 da. So I kind of feel that way when it comes to dating too. Like, everybody is not going to accept what, my HIV status, and that's fine because I don't want to accept everything they got going on either. But the more times that you go out there and you try, the more likely you will have that someone will accept and will hear you. So don't give up. I mean, if you want to be single forever, by all means, please go and do that. In so many ways, that's easier than, the mess that people be trying to put you through in relationships. But if you want to, if romantic love and partnership and doing all of that is something that you want, please don't give up. HIV definitely is not all of who you are. And even less when undetectable equals untransmittable. No, screw them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um, let's see what else. Someone said you should never give up on yourself because there are people who will love you for who you are. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got something to say to that, Katie?
I was just saying, absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Yes. HIV is such, like, to us, it can be such a big thing. I know I'll speak personally. My internalized stigma is so much greater than the stigma that I've probably experienced or know that I've experienced, because sometimes I'm so aloof that I don't realize that I'm being stigmatized or being treated a certain type of way because of my status. But it's how I feel about myself. If I'm beating myself up or if I'm, replaying events that happened to me in my life that I feel like can be attributed to HIV. That's where I feel like my biggest hang up was. But once I was able to get that confidence with you equals you and realize, yo, this is the step next to not having HIV. Like, I still have this virus, but yo, I kind of, I'm well, I'm healthy. I go to the doctor. I get checked up on so often. I'm good. Now, how about you? That person that claims a negative HIV status. Like, how well are you? Are you going to the doctor and getting yourself seen about? Do you know your risk of contracting HIV? Do you know that I got it no differently than how, chlamydia and gonorrhea and herpes are transmitted? Like, what makes you any
Right.
different than me?
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's why I want to tell some people, like, at least I know my status.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A comment came through. People hate what they don't understand. If they educate themselves, then the world would be so much better. I agree. On so many different levels. So many different levels. If and the information is out here. I get so upset sometimes, and I'm going to give people more space to be human. But we have the access to Google, like the same device that you use to make these negative comments. You could also use that same device to go research and to read a little bit. You don't have to be ignorant, but so many people choose that, and it's so unfortunate. So unfortunate.
Yes.
Another comment. I used to only date men with HIV, but I never gave up. I told my status up front and I was accepted by my husband. Some people are more open minded, some aren't. You just have to keep going. I never gave up, and with this new knowledge, I believe people are becoming more open minded. It just takes time. I've been positive since I was 14 and I'm 39 now. Wow. Thank you so much for being here with us, sister. Oh my gosh, that gives me so much hope. My math is kind of off sometimes, but that's 25 years. That's a long time. Yes. And you got a husband and a baby, a child. Yo, you don't know. Sharing stories like those are so inspiring, and it provides, the next sister with some hope. So I thank you. I thank you a lot. It was another comment. Someone said, I'm living with HIV for the past 30 years and taking second line art and activist for Indian people living with HIV. See, this is a global situation, Katie. Have you seen the global impact of you equals you?
Oh, Youth Was You is I forget how many countries it's in now. Uh, No, it's well over 100.
100 countries.
No, it's well over that. I don't want this is the part where I wish I'd looked that up before this.
It's fine. It will use 100 as a base number. That's so decent. So it's even bigger than just us here in the United States. I know I see like in the Spanish translation, it's like I equals I. And I've seen it translated in other ways too that I can't recall at this moment. But yo, that's so decent. It's providing hope all over
Right,
the world.
right, yep. Uh, uh, Bruce Prevention Access Campaign has really worked, really done a lot of work to get it around, uh, get the message heard all over the world, and I think it's been more readily accepted in other countries more so than it has here in America.
Sorry, guys, my house phone is ringing. Who even uses a house phone anymore? It's just plugged up for no reason. Hopefully, it'll stop ringing in a second. Um, Krista just put in the comments that U equals U community partners as of July 7, 2021 was 1,043 organizations from 102 countries. They have signed on to share the U equals U message in ways that work for their communities. That's a lot of people, and it is
Yes,
102 countries. Wow.
yes, that's
Wow,
fun.
wow, wow. Yo, they laughing at my house phone, Katie. Look, I got it because it's part of a bundle package, all right? I just wanted the Wi Fi. I don't know why. Why do I even have it plugged up? But we passed there. Yo, that's a lot of people. I am surprised 1,043 organizations. And to be able to present that information to somebody and they still not believe you. You know, they still
Right,
are going to believe what they want to believe. That's fine. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, their own feeling, but you really, at some point, you can't fight science and you can't fight facts. So, like, at this point, you're just choosing to not want to believe. That's cool. You're not my people then. If that's the case, you just not my people.
right.
Um, let's see. I think we've kind of answered this question some, so I don't want to like repeat unless you feel like you have something new to add. But how have you found the response from non-HIV positive folks? Do they get it? Do they support and share the information with other non-HIV positive folks? Hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm. I find that on my platform, Instagram's really where I do most of my advocacy work. Um, I posed a question to my followers one day if they knew what U equals U was. And I once again was so surprised that so many people did not know what it was. But the engagement, I believe, on those type of posts and to see how many times it gets passed around and shared, I do feel like once, it sparks that light bulb in one person's head, even if they share it with one other person, that's two more people in the world that know about U equals U. Like, I think that's phenomenal. What do you feel, Katie?
Yeah, I think it's getting more into the culture. I love these commercials that that show U equals U in the commercial. I love that because I think that's really helping getting it out into public view. I think TV is probably one of the best ways to penetrate culture. It's just, I guess that's where we create all our culture is on TV. But yeah, so I love seeing that. Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Here was another question I think we kind of touched on, but I'm one that likes to hold providers accountable often. So this question is: do providers seem reluctant to believe it still? Are people you tell about it reluctant to believe it? Um, the providers, it just OMG, it just really surprises me. And although U equals U has only been proven, sexually, there is some work that is being done, in other modes of transmission. So right now I'm doing a lot of work with the Well Project and ICWNA and, whoever will really listen for real about breastfeeding, infant feeding, chest feeding, and HIV. So if we know that, undetectable equals untransmittable, sexually, can we open up, other areas of research and opportunities where we can maybe impact so many more lives? A woman or a person that has just birthed a baby and is wants to chest feed, like, can we look into that? Can we not be left out of research there? Can we find out how far U equals U really can go? Because I don't think it just stops here with sex, you know?
Yeah.
Um, let's see. We have another comment. Thank y'all for being so interactive in the comment section. This is amazing. How do you feel about U equals U in comparison to PrEP? Specifically, so when not much testing for PrEP has been done on those assigned at birth as women. They are both methods used as prevention, but I struggle to stand behind PrEP. Oh, that's a great comment, Marissa. You want to speak to that, Katie?
Uh, well, myself, I don't have any experience with prep. Um, I've, basically, I mean, all my relationships have all been zero discordant. Um,
Wait, before you go on, what's serial discordant?
a zero discordant is when one partner is HIV positive and one partner is HIV negative.
And those that has been all of your relationships. So, does your
Yes.
partner take PrEP?
No. No, she's never had any interest to, and yeah, so we've been together for 5 years, and before her, I was married for 23 years, and so I've never dated anyone who also lived with HIV.
Oh, that's decent. And I will assume, because U equals U, that both of your partners, they remain negative.
Yes.
That's beautiful. So I kind of understand where Marissa is coming from in her comment. We have U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable, and then you also have PrEP. PrEP is the medication that is like, if I were the negative person in the relationship, I would be able to take PrEP just in case I were exposed to the virus, that it would allow the virus to not have a chance to like replicate and mutate in my body if I had been exposed to it. So I understand like where that conflict sometimes can happen in people's mind, but how I look at that is just like extra protection. So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing as the person that is living with HIV, then you as the negative person, you can just put that extra barrier just in case you were by some, fluke exposed to this virus, you would be protected as well. It was something that just popped up, a comment. PrEP is just as important as U equals U to use when you consider the overall necessity of using treatment as prevention. Well, Thank you, Nurse Bridget. Thank you. I feel like they're all tools, and it's such a beautiful thing that they're all available to us today, because I know that, back in the 80s and 90s, these things weren't available. So just the fact that they're here is such a blessing to me. She further goes on to say, I understand your hesitation, but it's important that we promote all sources of protection for those who are negative so that they continue to stay negative and we reduce the impact of this virus. Absolutely. Um, let's see. Some people that are negative don't want to take PrEP because of the side effects long term, and some don't like taking meds if they never had to. And that's fine, to each their own. But just the fact that it is available will be why I will always, let people know that there is an option, just as well as PEP. PEP would be the pill that you would take, or the medicine. I'm not sure exactly how it comes, but after a known exposure or a possible exposure. So it's like more of an emergency case. In my head, I don't hold me to this, but in my head, PrEP is like birth control for HIV, and then PEP is like the morning after pill for HIV. In my head, that's how I see it. um, let's see. Yes. Oh, I like this one. Even though we know U equals U is 100% true, humans are not always. That's true. How do you feel about that statement, Katie?
Well, that's like you were saying. That's why there's PEP
Mm-hmm.
or PrEP.
Mm-hmm.
Is that extra protection because you don't always know other people. Now, if you're undetectable, then that coverage is sure you can't transmit, but to fill yourself, then PrEP is a good option.
I want to go back to when Krista said, our last survey collected data from women living with HIV about the impact U equals U had on their lives, and nearly 75% said it had a significantly positive impact on their lives, yet only about 35% said that they had heard about it from their provider. Wow. Wow. You believe those numbers? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I didn't hear about it from my provider. I heard, like I said, I heard about it from Bruce Richmond at Positive Living, and I came back home and asked my doctor about it, and I think back then they were saying they couldn't share that information for legal reasons, and that kind of angered me that you had this information all this time and didn't tell me.
Have you, to this day, yet to hear it from a provider?
Well, they usually I think I'm still the one telling them.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I said usually I think I'm still the one telling them, telling my providers.
Wow.
I'm giving U equals U fact sheets to my doctors, my dentist.
Yeah, the dentist. Yo, you would never think that conversation would be one that you would need to have with people who are working on your mouth. But I definitely had an experience like that. And that is so stigmatizing. Like it is traumatizing. That's the word I want to use because I'm coming in here for something that's totally non-HIV related in my head. And now I'm having to educate you, another professional, and I guess what we would call the medical field, um, about you equals you and how I'm no threat to you. And if you're using universal precautions, then I don't see why you would have to work on me any differently than you would the next person just because you know my HIV status. Ugh, so frustrated.
Right. Yeah. It's just about all my doctors that aren't that aren't HIV related. All I want to know what my numbers are. Each time I come to their office, they want to know what my last numbers were.
All of your doctors?
Oh, yeah.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's about all I ask. How are your last numbers? Oh, they're still good. I'm still undetectable.
Mm.
You're still safe.
Okay. And once again, we're going to address this. Wondering where people have heard about you equals you from and how many times have heard about it from their providers. So I just saw, was it Joe? Joe said she heard it directly from Bruce. She was following him closely then. That's decent. She heard it straight from, the horse's mouth, I guess they say. I don't know. Oh, that's decent. Like I said, I think my first time hearing it was at that conference. And it just seems like such a part of my everyday vocabulary now that it is always so surprising that so many people haven't. So I guess even though it can become tiresome to the person that keeps screaming it from the top of the mountain, um, it's necessary to keep screaming it because everybody didn't hear you the first time, and you got to get to the people in the back. I mean, I love the resources that are being put into our chat. I know that you can't see it, Katie, but we have pamphlets on you equals you. We have fact sheets on serodiscordant couples. We have a you equals you webinar and blogs and fact sheets. The Well Project is such a valuable source when it comes to learning about HIV and how it impacts women and women that are vulnerable to the virus. It's amazing. So thank you for all of those resources that have been put down in the comments. Um, Someone said that they heard of you equals you from Mark King. Yes, all of these advocates here. That is amazing. Um,
Yeah, Mark's awesome.
we have a new comment. I haven't been fortunate enough yet to meet Mark, but I feel like that day is coming. I've seen him in videos, I've seen his name a lot, but I know that day's coming.
Oh, you will love Mark.
Really?
Yes, he's a sweetheart.
Oh, and those resources too. Yeah, they just put it. So even it's in English and in Spanish. Like that is so decent. Not only is the campaign and this movement like global, the Well Project's following it up with translating it in the language of our users. So Spanish, and we have, fact sheets in Hindi as well because we serve people all over the world. So that's decent. Okay, I'm gonna move on now. Sorry. um, a comment said, I think most providers don't discuss it with patients because so many are frequently non compliant and would use you equals you as a way to dismiss condom use. I feel it needs to be discussed regardless. Absolutely. I agree that it needs to be discussed regardless. As a person living with HIV, I always want to be left with a choice. Like, I don't want you to withhold information from me to try to sway me into a certain direction or to like kind of anticipate what my response is going to be. I don't need that. I need for you to tell me what the facts are medically so that I can make my own decisions. If I want to use a condom or not, that's my decision.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's not. your decision to make for me.
No. And don't withhold information from me. Like, if I find out that my provider is doing that purposely, I probably would start looking for a new provider because that isn't their job. You know, it's your job to give me what you know, and I put you in a position because I can choose my providers. But I've trusted you enough to come to you for you to treat me to the best of your ability, not for you to sway me in one direction or the next. And you equals you. Like we have that. We know that it's 0% chance. So no, 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 absolutely not. Aw, they called us Iron Women. We're Iron Women. I guess that means we're strong and we're tough and stuff. What do you think? Krista says, Katie or Cece, have you had any memorable stories in helping someone else understand you equals you? I want you to answer this first, Katie.
Um, but yeah, I've had well, one in particular. I remember I was just having a conversation with someone at a gas station, and don't know how come across these subjects, but you know how conversations go. but but yeah, just I mean, when you tell anyone who doesn't know, you know, and you know, it's really satisfying to when you know to teach them, because you know, this is just so important. You know, I think it's important for everyone to know, and it's uh,
Okay, I'm not sure if you're cutting out or if you were finished. I'm going to jump in real quick. So, Krista just posted your U equals U blog. Um, and I remember not too long ago you made like a whole video or a poem about U equals U. Do you know that by heart, by any chance?
by heart. No.
It was so cute. But I think my memorable moments when it comes to U equals U is anytime that I inform someone that, you know, I'm living with HIV and that I have not transmitted the virus to any of my partners and that I have not, you know, transmitted it to my children. And usually their reaction is their mouth drops and they're really surprised and like, how does this happen? And I get to then tell them, um, yeah, you equals you. Like you didn't know about that. If I'm taking my medicine and I'm undetectable, then I can't pass this virus to anybody. And they're like, wow. And that is rewarding and satisfying because I know now that I have impacted that person's life. Maybe they won't go out, you know, searching to be with someone that is living with HIV, but maybe and hopefully the next time that they come across someone that's living with HIV, they won't shun them away, they won't stigmatize them. They won't look at them any differently because they're living with this virus.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see. How long does it take one to tell someone? That's a question. How long? That sounds like one of those questions out of our dating and disclosure episodes. How long does it take? Well, me personally, you can tell I'm a little free, right? And I don't like being confined. So I usually tell someone at the beginning of our relationship, whatever that relationship is going to be, because I have dealt with the rejection on so many different ends that I would rather you just go ahead and reject me at the beginning. Because I'm living, because you can't handle the fact that I'm living with HIV versus, it's getting months down the line and I'm really digging you, you really digging me, and then HIV is the reason why you can't talk to me anymore. Like, I just rather you go ahead and get out of my life at the beginning.
I've gotten to be that way myself. Uh, used to I would hold off on that information for a while and trying to get to know me as a person and all that before you know telling them I'm HIV positive. But yeah, I'm like you. I've got so tired of the process of you know it not going well when they do find out that I've just started telling people right off the bat now and
I got
because
a fly. I'm sorry. This is the fly just keeps flying around. The kids keep leaving the doors open. The house is wild. Okay. So if you see me swatting, that's because I'm trying to get this one fly away from my head. Okay. Um, Someone wrote about sex being a taboo in the Indian community. Um, I I'm not sure, I'll take your word for it, but I know that in some of our communities here, it can also be a taboo thing. And it's the strangest thing to me because we have sex. Babies are born, STDs are gotten. We're having sex. Why can't we talk about it? I like talking about it, actually. And you equals you. I will not stop having sex just because I'm living with HIV. If that's what you thought, you had it sadly, sadly mistaken. Now, what I might not do is get pregnant again. Okay? This might be the end of that. But you equals you, and I'm so, so grateful for that. Do you have anything else that you want to leave the people with, Katie?
uh, yeah, just I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So that's going to conclude